I guess the whole thing been into it with her nigga all day, with her boyfriend all day. So, bam, as I'm rolling up, he busts in the room and get he beating the shit, like just beating. I'm like, damn, what the fuck I gotta go?
He said, this my number, FaceTime me. I FaceTime him right there. We was on FaceTime for like 6 hours.
Word.
It was already like 3 in the morning.
He DM'd me on the ground one day, just like, down with you. He wanted me to come out there and get up with him. So we went, me and my kid now, all my whole gang went out to LA, got up with him and shit.
It looks like we might finally have the person tied to what EBG's been hinting at. New footage just hit the net, and fans are losing it. They're convinced that T.I. was caught on camera gunning down one of EBG Grizzle's closest homies right after getting released. Now, with E-Shizzle calling for revenge, people are starting to think maybe T.I. was safer behind them walls than walking free. Let's break it down, because this right here got Memphis boiling. The whole thing started with one clip, a shaky 37-second video filmed in what looks like a dark parking lot off Airways Boulevard. The grainy footage has gone completely viral, blowing up every feed from Twitter to TikTok. It supposedly shows Pooh Shiesty himself, freshly out of federal custody, letting off shots toward a car linked to one of EBG Grizzle's closest allies. Within hours, hashtags like Bashed PTI and Dashed Get Back Gang were trending everywhere, and with E-Dizzle already vowing payback, fans are all asking the same dangerous question. Did Shiesty really come home just to catch another body? The video is cold. No music, no filters, just raw chaos. You see a black Dodge Charger creeping up, voices shouting, and then 6 quick flashes lighting up the night. One man drops by the hood, motionless. If this footage is real, that would mean Shiesty's first move after stepping out of prison was taking out EBG's right-hand soldier. That's not just retaliation. That's a declaration of war, and it could blow Memphis wide open all over again. But it gets even darker. According to Memphis insiders and pages like Rap Alert, the parking lot in the clip perfectly matches an area EBG hangs out at. You can even hear someone in the background yelling, "EBG out here!" right before the shots start flying. Authentic or not, it doesn't matter, because in the streets, perception hits harder than proof. You don't even need receipts. The belief alone can get somebody smoked. And here's the wild part. T.I. had just been released earlier this month after serving a reduced federal sentence for conspiracy to possess firearms in furtherance of violent crimes. His early release shocked everybody. Some fans were hyped, celebrating the real one coming home. But others, especially folks close to the scene, warned that old demons were still waiting for him on the outside. Even Charleston White himself dropped comments, hinting that freedom might have just dropped T.I. back into the same storm he fought so hard to escape. In a recent interview, someone close to the scene practically predicted this exact situation. And now, it's starting to feel hauntingly prophetic.
Now, Pooh Shiesty.
That's my boy. Them Pooh Shiesty babies, now they gonna be something. We got to do something with them motherfuckers. I ain't bullshit. Them motherfuckers destroy America.
Was supposed to be rebuilding, getting his life back together, linking up again with Gucci Mane and the 1017 label, even working on a comeback project, a full album and book combo that could have flipped his story from street legend to redemption tale. But if this footage really shows what people think it does, that comeback might have just turned into a countdown. Memphis is boiling. The city hasn't been this tense since Dolph's murder. Corners that used to blast Shiesty's music have gone silent. Murals tagged over, people whispering about revenge in every neighborhood. This isn't just rap beef anymore. This is legacy-level tension, old wounds reopening in real time. And here's the thing. This isn't just two rappers going back and forth for clout. Nah, this goes deep. Personal, historical, and generational. Before T.I. ever hit the Billboard charts, before Back in Blood blew up, before Gucci even brought him under the 1017 banner, this rivalry had already left bodies and scars on both sides. To really understand the chaos we're watching unfold, we gotta rewind. Go back to the lick that started all this smoke.
Started really from a birth.
According to EBG E-Drizzle's own story, it all started with a break-in. Somebody hit a house and stole some valuables. The thieves tried to spin it like they pulled off something major, making it seem like they robbed someone high profile just to flex.
Broke in the house and stole some, and really try to put it like they extorted something, but they really did some junk. You know how they go. These doing
you supposed to do when you were 14, 15, breaking your house, busting windows.
But to Grizzle, that was kid stuff, straight up childish. In his eyes, it wasn't worth bragging about, definitely not something to start a war over. But the other side, they turned that petty lick into rap bars, dropped disses, and started acting like it was a legendary move. That's when things took a dark turn. Pride got involved, reputations got tested, and something small exploded into a full-blown street feud. What started as jokes and flexing online was suddenly turning into real-life danger in the streets of Memphis. The tension exploded when T.I. dropped his breakout track with Lil Durk, Back in Blood. For most fans, it was just another hard Memphis anthem climbing the charts. But for EBG Grizzle, that song hit completely different. To him, it wasn't just music. It was a message, a straight-up shot aimed at his circle.
Yeah, you could tell I took it as a diss, but it just, the reason what made me respond is because it was just false as hell. Like, it just was a whole bunch of make-believe and exaggerated situation. So that what just made me respond.
From Shizzle's point of view, Pooh Shiesty and his crew weren't just making art, they were rewriting history. He felt like they were twisting real-life events, exaggerating details, and turning small street moments into wild tales for fame. In Shizzle's eyes, that wasn't creativity, that was disrespect. What stung most wasn't just the cap in the lyrics, but the fact that Shiesty was glorifying situations that didn't even happen like that. For EBG, those bars weren't entertainment, they were provocation.
I was just like, man, yeah. I just hate capping that shit.
The already fragile situation hit another breaking point when EBG Grizzle got shot. And from that moment on, the streets lit up with rumors. Speculation, fake stories, and wild theories spread like fire through Memphis timelines and group chats. Everyone wanted to tie it to the feud with Shiesty and his crew, but the truth was way messier. The real cause wasn't even about rap or turf, it was personal. Turns out, the shooting stemmed from domestic drama that spiraled out of control. According to people close to Shizzle, he was just trying to stay out of it. But trouble found him anyway.
I guess the whole thing been into it with her nigga all day, with her boyfriend all day. So, bam, as I'm rolling up, he busts in the room and get the, like, he beating the like, just beating. I'm like, damn, what the fuck I gotta go?
Dizzle wanted no part of the madness, so he made the smart move. He decided to dip before things got worse. But just as he was leaving, everything went sideways. Shots rang out, chaos broke loose, and that's when the situation crossed a line that nobody could walk back from. What was supposed to be someone else's problem turned into a full-blown crisis, and from that moment, the energy in Memphis shifted for good.
I'm getting my and leaving. So as I'm getting my and leaving, I guess he took that in his head that I'm finna kill him or pop him or shoot him about his female. So bam, as I'm walking to get my up to bed, he take off running out the room. When he take off running out the room, he shoot all through the walls.
Things went from bad to worse once false rumors started flying about Grizzle's condition after the shooting. Suddenly, social media was full of wild claims and fake updates, people talking like they were there, pretending they knew the truth.
So I just wasn't thinking too hard on it. Only thing that made me mad, like, when I wasn't even on the internet when I got shot, like, but soon I logged on, everybody like, go check Instagram. I see motherfuckers out on the ground, capping like shot me, like just really just clout chasing type shit. So that was just made me realize that a lot of these being these for attention or for the...
Folks started taking credit for things they never did, exaggerating his injuries just to boost their own street image. Some were out here chasing clout off another man's pain, turning his misfortune into their own storyline. But then came the claim that really blew the situation wide open. The one that made this whole feud turn personal on another level.
Right. I believe Pooh Shiesty posted something like, damn, that pussy dissed and now he can't even walk.
Yeah.
You know, something like...
According to Grizzle, PTI's camp helped push a fake story saying he was paralyzed, even though Pooh Shiesty had nothing to do with the shooting in the first place. That rumor spread fast, and once it hit the blogs, the damage was done. Fans ran with it, the internet picked sides, and what started as misunderstanding turned into open hostility.
Yeah, he ain't had to do with nothing. You know what I'm saying? He got a lot of, Yeah, he ain't had nothing to do with nothing. But get back going.
From there, the tension turned real, way past disses or posts. Both sides began facing real-world consequences that money and fame couldn't fix. For EBG Grizzle, beefing with someone as big as T.I. wasn't just dangerous, it was costly. Suddenly, his name was blacklisted from clubs, shows, and business deals. Promoters didn't want the smoke. Venues cancelled bookings, and potential sponsors started backing off the second his name came up.
I just feel like people scared to f with me because who I don't f with, you know what I'm saying?
When you're going against an artist signed to 1017 Records, distributed by Atlantic, and backed by Gucci Mane, that's no small fight. That's industry-level beef, and it shuts doors fast. People don't want headlines or police attention, and Grizzle felt that pressure heavy. He'd built his name off grind and consistency, but now this feud was costing him opportunities he'd worked years for, all because the streets and the internet couldn't separate fact from fiction.
I think it was signing, it was a record label though that was finna sign me. Like we had met with each other, did a whole lot, did like going to studio sessions, all this. Then they hit my little brother, which my manager, they hit him up like, they ain't want to lose their relationship with other artists, so they ain't want to f with me type of shit.
When the dust settled, the label had made its stance clear, and it definitely wasn't in Grizzle's favor. The industry started closing ranks, and it was obvious this beef wasn't just about streams or money, it had turned deeply personal. For Grizzle, this was about something way bigger than music. It was about respect, truth, and principles, the kind of street codes that don't bend, even when millions are on the line.
Like, it's like, I never did, but like, where we come from, like, this to the grave type, like, hell no, we don't forgive or forget.
Grizzle's public statements show just how deep that hurt ran. He made it clear this wasn't something that could be fixed with an apology or a sit-down in some studio. The disrespect, the lies, the fake narratives, all of it cut too deep. In his world, once that line gets crossed, there's no easy way back. And in Memphis street culture, forgiveness isn't free. It comes with a price, if it comes at all. As the smoke from that original burglary faded, things started spiraling into something way bigger than rap drama. Suddenly, there were real charges, shootouts, betrayals, and street politics swallowing everyone involved. What used to be rap bars and online talk became something deadly serious. And behind the chaos, a new generation of Memphis rappers was watching, trying to survive in a city that seems to feed on its own blood, guided by loyalty, pride, and a code that punishes weakness. To understand why this feud holds so much weight, you've got to look at their pasts. The criminal cases, the bids they've served, and the credibility they earned in the streets long before the fame. Both EBG Grizzle and PTI built their reputations not just through lyrics, but through what they actually lived. That's what makes it dangerous, because when your art and your reality blend together, one mistake can change your life forever.
I think it was an attempted murder, but they dropped it to assault. I had ended up getting two of one of my family members. Matter of fact, I got two of one of my family members, and then it just went the wrong way, and I ended up catching a little attempted murder charge. I ain't just gonna speak on it because I fought with my uncle now.
Grizzle's story in the streets started early, way earlier than most people even know. His first major run-in with the law happened when he was barely a teenager, still trying to figure out who he was. At just 13 years old, Grizzle found himself staring down an attempted murder charge after an altercation that allegedly involved his own relatives. The situation got messy fast. It was family business gone bad, the kind of heat no kid should ever face. Eventually, the charge got reduced to assault, but the damage was already done. His name was in the system, and his path was set. From that point on, Grizzle wasn't seen as a kid anymore. He was treated like a grown man in a war zone. And that early introduction to violence and survival shaped everything he'd become, both the rapper the fans loved and the street soldier the city feared. From that point forward, Grizzle's record only got heavier. What started as juvenile scuffles and neighborhood fights turned into a pattern of real criminal cases that kept stacking one after another. By 16, things hit a breaking point. He was sentenced to juvenile life. which in Tennessee means locked up until you're 19, unless you earn early release through good behavior. For a kid barely old enough to drive, that sentence felt like forever. But what made that stretch so painful wasn't just the time, it was the betrayal behind it.
Plus the nigga, my best friend at the time, he ended up snitching on me. Yeah, he ended up telling this.
Okay, so your best friend snitches on you during this case, and then it leads to you getting juvenile life?
Yeah.
Someone E. Dizzle had once called family, someone he trusted more than anyone, turned on him when it mattered most. That betrayal hit deeper than any prison time ever could. It wasn't just about getting snitched on. It was about realizing the streets don't run on loyalty the way you think they do. That moment changed him completely. It hardened him, made him colder, sharper, and more guarded. From then on, trust was something he gave to no one, not even the ones who swore they had his back. When he finally served his time and came home, he tried to move smarter, but the streets have a way of pulling you back in, especially when you've got a name that carries weight. By 2020, just as his rap career was starting to show real potential, E. Dizzle got hit with another nightmare, a murder charge that threatened to erase everything he'd worked for. If convicted, he was looking at 15 to 25 years, maybe more.
15 to 25 years. My first offer was 17 years.
The prosecution came at him hard, offering a plea deal that would have taken away the rest of his youth and his prime years. Signing that deal would have meant admitting guilt for something he swore he didn't do, but fighting it meant risking decades behind bars. It was a no-win situation. The kind of corner young black men in Memphis find themselves in way too often. Still, E. Dizzle didn't fold. He kept fighting, determined to prove his side of the story. The case against him leaned almost entirely on witness testimony, people talking, rumors flying, and statements that didn't line up.
But I really knew I ain't even, they were going out some he say, she say. You see what I'm saying? So they just going by what a say. So somebody told them something, but when it was time to come to court and trial and shit, he didn't want to take the stand and testify.
And anyone who knows Memphis knows how shaky that kind of evidence can be. In a city where fear runs deep and snitching can cost you your life, witness statements don't always tell the full truth. For E. Dizzle, this case wasn't just about his freedom, it was about survival in a system that's quick to punish, but slow to understand what really happens in the streets. When it finally came time for E. Dizzle's day in court, everything took an unexpected twist. The key witness, the one the entire case was built around, flat out refused to take the stand. Without that testimony, the prosecution's case collapsed, and just like that, the charges were dropped. It was a rare win in a system where victories like that almost never happen. Now let's flip the focus, because on the other side, PTI's legal battles were about to hit a whole different level of serious. Things got real the night he was arrested after a shooting at King of Diamonds, one of Miami's most famous strip clubs.
Shiesty was arrested for a shooting at King of Diamonds. Now he has been accused of shooting a security guard there. We don't know what happened, but they said a crowd jumped in trying to grab some loose cash because somebody knocked money out of his back pocket, and that's when reportedly they are saying that he brandished a gun as he was being escorted out by the security guard.
According to reports, the chaos popped off fast. Shots rang out in the parking lot, and a security guard caught one in the ankle. Witnesses claimed they saw Pooh Shiesty hand off a gun to another man who immediately fled the scene. The club went into panic mode, lights flashing, people ducking, and Miami PD swarming the block in minutes. That King of Diamonds shooting was only the beginning of PTI's real problems, the kind that moved from state court to federal territory.
I hope that's not true.
Well, there was no gun or shell casings found at the scene.
The evidence from that particular night was thin. Grainy footage, unclear witness statements, but it became part of a bigger picture, a pattern the feds were quietly building behind the scenes. They weren't just looking at that one shooting, they were connecting dots, stacking evidence from multiple incidents until it formed something much heavier, a federal conspiracy case. Once the feds stepped in, things got dangerous for real. The RICO-level pressure meant T.I. wasn't just fighting for his name anymore. He was fighting for his life and freedom. The case reached a point where conviction could have meant decades behind bars, effectively ending everything he'd built.
Pooh Shiesty has pleaded guilty to one charge in his federal case. That means he's no longer facing a possible life sentence. So this resulted in prosecutors agreeing to suggest no more than a 97-month prison sentence.
Eventually, the only move left was to take a plea deal. A deal that called for just over 8 years in federal prison, though the judge could have easily stretched it to 20. The official charge was conspiracy to possess a firearm in furtherance of violent and drug trafficking crimes, one of the heaviest federal offenses out there. That's the kind of charge that doesn't just ruin a career, it brands you for life.
One charge that he is pleading guilty for is conspiracy to possess a firearm in furtherance of violent and drug trafficking crimes.
By taking the plea, Pooh Shiesty avoided a potential life sentence, but it still locked him away long enough for the streets, and the game, to change completely without him. By taking that plea deal, Pooh Shiesty avoided what could have been a life sentence, but he still had to face almost a decade behind bars, right in the middle of his prime. It was a crushing setback for an artist whose name had just started echoing beyond Memphis. But the truth is, for both T.I. and EBG Grizzle, the streets were only half of their story. Behind all the chaos, the shootouts, the indictments, and the headlines, there were real dreams. These weren't just street dudes chasing trouble. They were two artists trying to take Memphis from the trenches straight to the global stage. Their charges and their reputations may have come from the streets, but their voices reached far beyond them. On one side, you've got the beefs, betrayals, and block politics, but on the other, you've got ambition, hunger, and undeniable talent. To really understand their impact, you've got to look at how both T.I. and E-Dizzle built something powerful from nothing. They turned pain into lyrics, losses into lessons, and street codes into soundtracks. Their rise shows why their feud hit so hard. Because their music wasn't just entertainment, it was lived experience turned into art. Even with one sitting behind bars and the other fighting off industry blackballing, their influence still pulses through Memphis like electricity. PTI's journey to fame started with pure hustle and timing. Born Trell Donald Williams Jr. on November 8, 1999, in the heart of Memphis, Tennessee, he came up in the Cane Creek Apartments, one of the city's roughest spots. Life wasn't easy, but he carried that toughness with him everywhere. For a couple years, he lived in Pflugerville, Texas, before heading back to Memphis to finish high school in summer classes. That move back home became the spark that lit everything. At just 18, he started grinding independently, shooting his own videos, uploading them to YouTube, and building a fan base straight from the streets. No label, no industry machine, just raw Memphis energy. Within months, his visuals were racking up millions of views, and the industry started paying attention. He had the voice, the image, and the story. Everything labels love, and the streets respect.
In the womb, I was still in the belly, she rubbed Mr. Pooh. Then it went from there, whole neighborhood, Mr. Pooh, from my family. Yeah.
Even his name had roots. The Pooh part came from before he was even born. His mom used to call him Mr. Pooh while he was still in her womb, and the nickname stuck around the neighborhood and family ever since. It became part of who he was, the kid everyone knew, who turned that childhood name into a brand that the whole world would eventually recognize. From a neighborhood nickname to a global stage, Pooh Shiesty carried his past like armor, and it's that same mix of innocence and intensity that made his rise so captivating. The Shiesty in Pooh Shiesty wasn't just a catchy add-on, it carried real meaning. It reflected his street persona, the reputation that he wasn't someone you could easily cross or play with. It captured the energy of Memphis, gritty, unpredictable, and dangerous if disrespected. Together, Pooh Shiesty became the perfect name for his brand of hard-hitting, unapologetic street rap, authentic to the bone and dripping with that raw Memphis attitude. His official career took off in 2019, when he dropped his commercial debut single Hell Night, featuring fellow Memphis heavyweight Big 30. Released on March 15, 2019, with its video premiering a few months later on February 19, 2020, the track went viral fast, racking up over 6 million views and solidifying him as one of the city's most promising new voices. From there, he didn't slow down, dropping banger after banger. Shiesty Summer hit on August 20th, 2019, followed by Chopper Talk with Big 30 just 3 days later, and Day 1 in November of that same year. Each track brought more eyes, more fans, and more respect from the streets and industry alike. What made him stand out wasn't just the flow, it was the energy, the authenticity, the storytelling that felt real. Pooh didn't sound like someone imitating the streets, he was the streets. Every lyric carried experience, pain, pride, and warning all at once. His rise was fast but earned, built from consistency, loyalty, and pure Memphis grind. Then came the turning point, the moment that changed everything.
Me in the bed, middle of the night, one day, he texted me on Instagram.
Did you believe it or did you think it was a lie?
I couldn't believe this shit.
How old were you then? Because you're only 20 now, right?
Yeah, I'm 21 now. I was 20.
Okay. Oh, that was last year?
Yeah.
So he just sent you a DM?
Yeah, he texted me, he said, "What's up, home?" I couldn't believe it. I grabbed my phone, get up.
One night, out of nowhere, Gucci Mane himself, one of the most influential figures in trap music history, slid into Pooh's DMs. Gucci had been scrolling through music online when he stumbled on Pooh's track Main Slime, and it immediately caught his attention. He didn't wait for labels, managers, or middlemen. He went straight to the source. Gucci messaged Pooh personally, telling him he saw something real, something that reminded him of his own come-up.
He said, "This my number, FaceTime me." I FaceTime him right there. We was on FaceTime for like 6 hours.
Word.
It was already like 3 in the morning.
That message turned into a 6-hour FaceTime call in the middle of the night. Two artists who barely knew each other, just talking about life, music, and loyalty. It wasn't a business deal. It was a real connection. The kind of bond that can't be faked. Gucci saw in PTI what the streets already knew: raw talent, unfiltered energy, and a story too real to ignore. That one call would change everything, setting the stage for Pooh Shiesty to jump from Memphis legend to national name. What happened next wasn't just a business move. It was Gucci Mane recognizing raw potential and deciding to personally help shape it. He wasn't just signing another rapper. He was investing in a story, in energy, in a movement that could redefine Memphis rap. Within weeks of that late-night FaceTime, the ink was dry. Pooh Shiesty officially signed to 1017 Records, Gucci's own label under Atlantic Records, in April 2020. And the crazy part? It all went down during the COVID lockdowns, so most of the deal was handled through calls, emails, and virtual meetings. No handshakes, no studio tours, just trust, hunger, and timing.
We flew to Atlanta, yeah. But it was like I got signed during COVID, so everything locked down and shut down and everything over the phone.
Keeping a secret that big wasn't easy. Everyone in Memphis could feel that something major was happening, but no one knew exactly what. The excitement was real. You could tell Pooh was ready to explode onto the mainstream. After grinding for years independently, this was his moment. He was impatient, amped, and ready to show the world what Memphis really sounded like. Now, flipping the script, let's talk about EBG Grizzle, because his come-up couldn't have been more different. Born Eric Gills Jr., also out of Memphis, Grizzle's journey was driven by something far more emotional than a record deal. It was personal. His stage name, EBG, stands for Everybody Bleeds Gorilla, but it carries an even deeper meaning. The name came from his little brother, who tragically passed away in 2015. The movement, the brand, the identity, all of it was built as a tribute to him. Every track, every bar, every grind moment was rooted in that pain and love. His music wasn't just ambition, it was therapy, a promise to never let his brother's name fade away.
Yeah, we grind these after my little brother, he died in 2015. It was a car accident he hit when you driving the moped and shit. Nigga ain't try to do it. It was an accident. So we put the gang on him type shit. We started E-Bells gang when he died, and we just been pushing it since.
Unlike T.I. or Pooh Shiesty's calculated rise through industry connections and viral singles, E. Grizzle's start in rap was rougher and more spontaneous. It wasn't about chasing the spotlight. It was about expression, survival, and representing his set. He started rapping casually, dropping tracks here and there, not even seeing it as a career path at first. But when he saw the streets reacting, when people started feeling his words and recognizing the raw truth behind them, he began to realize this wasn't just a hobby anymore. It was purpose.
Like when he passed and stuff like that, like that's when you picked up the rap, or you know what I'm saying, it kind of took some time for it.
I want to say, like, I had been like, you know how we just fucking around, like writing raps and shit. But like, they didn't just make me take it serious. I ain't started taking rap serious like a year ago.
Still, even with his brother's death serving as fuel, Grizzle didn't jump into rap immediately. The pain took time to process. And that delay gave his music even more depth once he finally stepped to the mic. It took time, a lot of time, for EBG Grizzle to realize that music could be more than just something to pass the hours. Eventually, he saw it for what it really was, a vehicle for survival, a way to express his pain, share his story, and maybe carve out a better future for himself and his crew. That realization didn't happen overnight. It came after years of loss, frustration, and watching too many friends fade away to prison or the streets. His real breakout moment came with the track, Rumors. Ironically, the song was recorded long before the Back in Blood controversy even started, but he didn't release it until after the feud was already catching fire online.
Ben made the song like a year before I dropped it type shit.
The song had been sitting in his phone for months, passed around between homies on the block and close friends who couldn't get enough of it. Everyone kept telling him the same thing. "You got something here, bro." The feedback was real, consistent, and motivating. People could feel that he wasn't just rapping to sound cool, he was talking about real life. All he needed was the right moment to drop it. And when he finally did, it hit like a bomb. Unlike many modern rappers who spend hours rewriting bars, fixing flows, and polishing verses, Grizzle's process was raw and unfiltered. He'd step in the booth, speak his truth, and let the emotion guide the verse. No fake personas, no ghostwriting, just straight from the heart storytelling.
You know me, I just put my life on beats type shit. Like I just be like real deal going in, writing about shit that is really occurring, like what I'm doing type of shit, or what I'm seeing.
That's exactly what made his music so powerful. Authenticity. You could tell he wasn't trying to play a character or create an image for the internet. He was documenting the life he lived, the grind, the losses, the loyalty, and the code that shaped him. His pain didn't need fancy metaphors. It was already loud enough to be felt. When Rumors finally dropped, the response was bigger than anything he'd imagined. The track exploded. The video crossed 8 million views, an incredible milestone for an independent Memphis artist still figuring out the business side of music. That moment validated everything. His story mattered, his message connected, and his voice finally had reach.
I knew the song before I ended on my story and shit, and everybody used to be just like going crazy about the song, like send me this song hard. But I ain't never think it'll be at like, where is it now, 8 million views and shit.
What made it even more powerful was the timing. The release landed right as his beef with PTI was dominating blogs and social media, but it didn't feel like a marketing move. It felt organic. People were already watching the drama unfold, and when Rumors dropped, it gave them his side of the story. It wasn't strategic, it was emotional. He was simply speaking his truth, and the world was ready to listen. The track's success opened doors Grizzle never expected, and one of the biggest came from the West Coast. Out of nowhere, Snoop Dogg himself reached out.
He DM'd me on the ground one day, just like, down with you. He wanted me to come out there and get up with him. So we went, me and my kid now, all my whole gang went out to LA, got up with him and shit.
That call changed everything. Snoop didn't just DM him, he personally invited Grizzle out to Los Angeles, wanting to meet face to face and collaborate. For a young artist from Memphis still shaking off the weight of street life, that kind of cosign was huge. Snoop's approval gave Grizzle instant credibility in the rap game and introduced him to a network that most independent artists could only dream of. The moment he touched down in LA, he wasn't just another underground rapper anymore, he was part of a legacy. But as he quickly learned, fame doesn't erase your past, it just shines a brighter light on it. Every rumor, every headline, every street story suddenly got magnified. Instead of escaping the chaos, success made it louder. And even though the world was finally seeing EBG Grizzle for his music, the streets still remembered him for everything that came before, proving that in Memphis you can change your life, but the past never really lets go. Every lyric, every diss, and every rumor eventually becomes part of the legacy, because in Memphis stories don't die, they evolve into legend. This beef was never just about who came out on top, it was about what Memphis gives birth to and what it destroys. Two artists molded by the same streets, scarred by the same pain, took their struggles and turned them into sound. Both carried the city on their backs, and both paid the price in different ways. One man ended up behind steel bars, watching the world move on without him. The other found himself shut out of the industry he helped ignite. Blackballed, underestimated, but still standing. Yet, despite where they landed, their impact can't be erased. Because Memphis doesn't just produce rappers, it breeds survivors, storytellers, and soldiers who turn trauma into testimony. The truth is, in this city, the line between music and survival isn't just thin, it's invisible. Every verse doubles as a diary, every track carries the tension of real life. And as long as that invisible line keeps vanishing, the story of T.I. and EBG Grizzle will never really end. It'll keep echoing through every speaker, every block, and every young voice trying to escape the same cycle they both came from. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. See you on the next one.